All right, welcome back for Unit 4 Fair Housing Workshop. Covered a lot in this total section. This is the fourth and final unit of the section of Section 7, Michigan and Federal Fair Housing. And just all the caveats that I need to say at the beginning of each video. I am an unlicensed, unpaid student of real estate in the state of Michigan. I have passed a real estate course and I am preparing for my real estate license. And this is just my version of studying. The purpose of this video is for anyone considering Michigan or not considering real estate. You can use this as a tool to understand some of the information that you would need to learn for your exam. Most of this information does apply to most states. Every state is slightly different. Michigan requires a 40-hour course with an accredited school, if you will, or course. Every state is different. Some may require more, some may require less, but for the most part, the federal portions of this course should apply to, well, would apply to all 50 states. Again, I am unlicensed. I am not representing myself as a real estate professional, and there should be no mistake that I am. I am not an educator, and I am not licensed at this time. So this is just me doing my study, and this is an effective way for me to study. I like to read out loud, so why not make some videos on it? If you find these videos helpful, please like, please follow, please comment. If you would like me to continue into other areas of the course as I study, please encourage me to do so with likes and comments so I know that people are watching and appreciating this content. It may seem dry, but if you are going into real estate, this is the type of stuff that you would need to learn going into real estate. Also, you would see that I protect from displaying the source of this information, the course and the name of the course that I'm taking. I do this primarily because I am not being compensated, so I'm not promoting any particular company. There are many different resources and many courses out there provided by many different companies to take your course for your state. I am not endorsing a specific resource, and I do not have the experience of multiple resources, so I do not feel it to be fair to endorse this resource, especially not being compensated for doing so. So you may see the name of the company that I'm using inadvertently, and there's certainly no shame in that, but understand that I am not promoting any resource or course or class or school. All right, so let's get into it. We are doing the Section 7, Michigan and Federal Fair Housing Law, and this is Unit 4, Fair Housing Workshop. Unit 1, 2, and 3 are already their own videos on my channel, my YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch those anytime you would like. Let's get into it, into our introduction objectives. As you can see, this is a long course with many lessons and many resources. I do read rather quickly. There may be some items that I skip just for redundancy purposes. If I am going a little too fast, of course, you have a pause button, so please use it as appropriate. So let's get into it. Learning about fair housing is one thing. It's important to also understand the impact of discrimination and to be able to apply this knowledge in your career as a real estate professional. In this unit, you'll get up close and personal with fair housing law when you're introduced to licensee Nancy, who probably should have paid a bit more attention to fair housing law, and we'll review a few fair housing case studies to see how the law plays out in the real world. I kind of chuckle because I have a friend named Nancy who is a real estate licensee, so it kind of makes me chuckle, but this is obviously not her. Objectives: identify the impact of discrimination and how it can affect your career in real estate. All right, lesson 1. Nancy gets help. Nancy received a court summons. She's being charged with blockbusting and steering. She consulted a lawyer who informed her that she had, in fact, violated numerous fair housing laws within her first few months of being licensed. While preparing for her appearance in court, Nancy vowed to do better and asked an experienced licensee, Thad, for help. Thad asked her some of the tricky questions that clients ask, and Nancy worked out the appropriate responses. All right, let's look at our resource. Open this in a new tab. Let's see what this resource is. All right, we've looked over this in previous units, so this is the housing discrimination under the Fair Housing Act and who's protected, what type of housing is covered, what is prohibited. Again, we've reviewed this, so this would be redundant. If you would like to review this in previous videos, please feel free to. And I will try to put the link of that resource in this video description. Thad pretended to be a client. We're looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath. We have 2 little kids, so we want to make sure we're in a good neighborhood. Somewhat safe, where we'll find a lot of good families and neighbor kids that we'd want our children to play with. Nancy tried the following responses, but Thad said they were all somewhat discriminatory, except which one? Was it, if you provide me with the specific kinds of people you want to avoid, I can screen the properties more closely? Yeah, we wouldn't want to say that. If you provide me with specific neighborhood names, I can certainly look for homes in those areas. You can learn about the different neighborhoods in the area at neighborhoodscout.com. That seems to be the more appealing one. Or 3, I can screen neighborhoods based on good school districts for you. That usually means you'll end up in the kind of neighborhoods you want. We're going to go with 2. Put the onus on the client. Let them go to neighborhoodscout.com and they can provide you specific neighborhood names they'd like to look in. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. That's it. Now Thad pretends to be a seller instead of a buyer. We've lived here for 10 years and love our neighbors. They're all really concerned about the changes happening on the blocks around us. We want to be careful about who we sell this house to, as a consideration to the friends we're leaving behind. You know what we mean. You'll help us find the right kind of buyer, won't you? Nancy stumbled with this one as well. Eventually, she found a suitable response. Which one is it? It would be illegal to limit the search based on race, religion, or anything like that, but I promise I'll find you the most qualified buyer I can, and we'll sell this house for the highest price possible. Doesn't seem too bad. I can't technically do that, but I could choose to advertise only in certain publications that target a wealthy white readership. We definitely don't want that, do we? Let's keep this off the record as long as we can come up with other reasons to disqualify the buyers you don't want, we'll be okay. We just need to make sure it all looks legitimate from the outside. Well, we're going to stick with this first answer. Good deal. Do it or else. This time, Thad tossed out an example that's the most difficult for new licensees. I know you technically can't show me just the white neighborhoods, but I'm paying for your help. My time is valuable, and I don't want to waste it looking at houses and neighborhoods I wouldn't live in. If you can't screen out properties for me the way I want you to, I'll find someone who can. Which response is the appropriate one? I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm obligated to obey my client's requests, but I'm going to need you to write up your request and sign it, so there's no way I can get in trouble for fair housing violations. B, I'm sorry that you feel that way. If I can't change your mind, I think we should terminate our agreement. Or C, I'll do my best, but just to make sure it doesn't look as suspicious, we'll need to include at least one showing in a minority neighborhood. All right, well, we're going to go with this middle one. That if I can't change your mind, we may have to agree to terminate our agreement. Yep, that's the right one. Pretty simple, common sense stuff here. Hopefully we don't ever, ever come across these folks. NFHA isn't so sure. The National Fair Housing Alliance isn't so sure the Fair Housing Act is working. Take a look at his recommendations to learn more. Bless you. All right. NFHA Trends Report 2015 Executive Summary. Whew, this is a long executive summary. Where you live determines whether or not you have access to a high-performing school, fresh foods, reliable transportation, good job, quality health care, and recreation in a green space. It often determines even how long you will live. Yet for decades, many neighborhoods, especially urban neighborhoods of color, have been starved of investments in these and other community assets. In this report, we highlight the relationship between housing choice and the various racial and ethnic disparities that exist today. Let's see. Section 1, the benefits that diverse and inclusive communities provide to society. Section 2, overview of the data of the known complaints of housing discrimination 2014 and the process of handling these complaints. Section 3, notable cases challenging various policies and procedures that affect people's access to housing. Section 4, pressing policy issues that affect housing choices and opportunities in America. And Section 5, recommendations for how to address these fundamental policy issues. All right, I am not going to read this entire thing because I think it's a little redundant to a lot of the things that we've already discussed. Um, but that is the overview of this report. The National Fair Housing Alliance recommendations that it thinks reveal what it thinks is not working well in fair housing. Which of these statements would you say accurately reflect the viewpoint of the National Fair Housing Alliance? The new resource provides a recap of its recommendation. Check all answers that apply. Current oversight of Fair Housing Act is lacking. Funding for private fair housing enforcement groups is too high. For private fair housing groups. Programs that are designed to address the mortgage and financial crisis are not always racially fair. Consumers need more education about how to identify and report discrimination. A regional approach to fair housing planning is better than a state-by-state approach. Corporations that support workplace diversity can be valuable partners in promoting neighborhood diversity. I'm going to say all of those. Yes, funding for private fair housing enforcement groups is too high. It's the only one that was not accurate. Good job, Michael. All right, on to the next one. Like I said, a lot of this is very redundant. Lesson 3, Fair Housing Case Study number 1. In this lesson, we'll review a case study taken from the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics and Arbitration Manual. You'll have a chance to apply what you know about fair housing laws and NAR ethics to the case. You will come to the same conclusion that the NAR hearing panel did. Will you come to the same conclusion that the NAR panel hearing did? Start by taking a look at your case study resource. We've also provided a copy of the Realtors Code of Ethics and Standard Practices. Okay. Quite the read here. I'm not going to read through all of NAR's ethics because I'm assuming they're pretty much in line with federal. Case study, can Arnold do that? Realtor Arnold listed a property in a new subdivision. At the instruction of his seller client Sebastian, Arnold did not file listing information with his board's MLS. Place a for sale sign on the property or advertise the property in the local newspaper. Sebastian had told Arnold that he wanted the sale handled quietly with the new purchasers being people who would, quote, fit into the neighborhood, people with the same socioeconomic background as the other residents of the subdivision. Based on his conversations with Sebastian, Arnold's only marketing effort was mailing a letter to the other residents of the subdivision inviting them to, quote, to play a part in the decision of who your next neighbor will be. If you know of someone who you would like to have live in the neighborhood, please let them know of the availability of this home, or call me and I will be happy to contact them and arrange a private showing, end quote. Arnold's marketing strategy came to the attention of realtor Brian, whose mother lived in the subdivision. Brian filed a complaint charging Arnold with a violation of Article 10 of the Code of Ethics. At the hearing, Brian told the hearing panel of receiving a copy of the marketing letter from his mother, who had recently moved to the subdivision. Brian advised the panel that he had checked the board's MLS for information on the property, had driven past the house to look for a for sale sign, and had scanned the Sunday real estate section of the local paper for information on the property. Finding no mention of the property in either the MLS or the newspaper, and noting the absence of a sign on the property, Brian concluded that Arnold's marketing strategy was to limit access to the property to individuals pre-selected by the current residents. Arnold defended his actions by advising the panel that he was acting on his seller's instructions. Sebastian appeared as a witness for Arnold and confirmed this fact, adding that he and the other residents of his block had an informal agreement that they would try to find, quote, suitable purchasers for their homes if they ever decided to sell. Sebastian felt that by broadcasting the marketing campaign to include all residents of the subdivision, he had increased the chances of finding such potential purchasers. All right. How do you think the NAR hearing panel ruled in the case? Was Arnold guilty or not guilty of violating Article 10 of the NAR Code of Ethics? Remember, Article 10 reads, Realtors give equal professional service to all clients and customers irrespective of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. I'm going to say they found him guilty. You're right, Arnold was found guilty. Case study review. The hearing panel found Arnold is in violation of Article 10. In its decision, the panel advised Arnold that no instruction from a client could absolve a realtor from the obligations to market properties without regard to race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, country of national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity as expressed in Article 10. There was no doubt in the panel's opinion that the exclusive use of choose your neighborhood letters to market the property was designed to circumvent the requirements of Article 10. Fair housing law. Do Arnold's marketing efforts in this instant violate fair housing laws? I would say they do. Yes, they do. Discriminatory. Now remember, like, a for sale by owner could have done that, but a licensee cannot. Discriminatory marketing. Brian, the realtor who brought the complaint against Arnold, had this to say. Arnold was deliberately discriminating against home seekers from other areas or those with different backgrounds who would never have the opportunity to learn about the house's availability. Obviously, Arnold was directing all of his marketing energies into finding purchasers who would not disrupt the ethnic and economic characteristic of the neighborhood. To learn more, take a look at the optional resource, What Everyone Should Know About Equal Opportunity Housing. I never did review it, so I guess I should open it in a new tab. No, we're not going to review that, though. Redundant. We know not to discriminate. We don't need it drilled into us too much more. What could Arnold have done differently? How could Arnold have better responded to Sebastian's instructions to handle the sale quietly and to find a buyer who would fit into the neighborhood? select all of the actions that Arnold should have taken. Inform Sebastian that fair housing laws prohibit him from refusing to sell to a buyer based solely on the buyer's inclusion in a particular protected class. Yeah. Explain his obligations as a real estate professional regarding ethical behavior and fair housing laws. Agree with the instruction but market the property properly. No. Describe the consequences for violating fair housing laws. Tell Sebastian that while he is required as a realtor to market the property in a non-discriminatory manner, Sebastian has a right to refuse to sell to any buyer for any reason. All right, we got it. We got it. All right, what if? If a couple had made an offer on Sebastian's property and had been refused because of their race, color, national origin, or other protected class, which of these actions could that couple take to protect their rights? File a complaint with HUD? Yes. File a complaint with the State Fair Housing Agency? Yes. File a complaint with NAR? Yes. Accuse Sebastian of discrimination on social media? Yeah, they could do that. Notify the local paper? Well, they could do that too, couldn't they? Uh-oh. Um, hmm. Well, I mean, they could do those things. I guess it's not a legal action. I guess is their point, but I mean, they could do that. They could complain on social media. They could even take out a newspaper ad. But I see what they're trying. Let's see the question one more time. Which of these actions could that couple take to protect their rights? Yeah, that's not really going to protect their rights. It's just a complaint. Okay, I get it. I get it. We'll move on. But some of those things probably be worse. All right. That was lesson 3. Let's go to lesson 4. Fair housing case number 2. We're powering through this a little quicker than I thought. That's good. That's good. Again, this is just kind of a recap anyway. Let's look at another case study surrounding a Choose Your Neighbor campaign. Review the resource and then play the part of the hearing panel. Okay. Let's open this up. The ABC Board of Realtors received a complaint from a local fair housing group alleging that realtor Andrea was using discriminatory marketing techniques in violation of Article 10 of the Code of Ethics. As the listing broker for a property in a new subdivision, in support of their complaint, the Fair Housing Group provided copies of Choose Your Neighbor form letters sent by Andrea to current neighborhood residents. The letter announced that the property was on the market and invited neighborhood residents to contact Andrea if they knew of anyone who they might be interested in purchasing the home. At the hearing, Andrea defended her use of Choose Your Neighbor form letters by demonstrating that they were just one element of her marketing campaign and weren't an attempt to restrict access to the property on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or country of origin, national origin as prohibited by Article 10. Andrea produced copies of the advertisements run in several papers, open house flyers distributed at supermarkets throughout the town, and a copy of the property data sheet submitted to the board's MLS. Andrea remarked, "In my experience, the current residents of a neighborhood often have friends or relatives who have said that they would love to live in the neighborhood. Just makes sense to me to include contacting these folks in any marketing campaign." How do you think the NAR hearing panel ruled in this case? Was Andrea found guilty or not guilty of violating Article 10? Remember, Article 10 reads. All right. I'm going to say she is not guilty. Yep, she's not guilty. In its findings of fact and conclusions, the panel noted that the use of Choose Your Neighbor letters is not a per se violation of Article 10, but cautioned that such letters could be used in a manner inconsistent with the intent of Article 10. The NAR Code of Ethics includes this standard practice with Article 10. Standard of Practice 10.3. Realtors shall not print, display, or circulate any statement or advertisement with respect to selling or renting of a property that indicates any preference, limitations, or discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin. Okay. What are the two factors that make Andrea's use of Choose Your Neighborhood form letters allowable, while Arnold's use of the same marketing tool was in violation? The Choose Your Neighborhood flyer was the complete marketing approach. Violation. The flyer was one part of a campaign that targeted all potential buyers. Allowable. It focused on a select group of potential buyers. Violation. The agent made an effort to market to a diverse population. Allowable. The intent was to prevent certain types of buyers. Violation. All right. That was 4. Let's go to 5. Fair Housing Case Study 3. An RV park inside Florida. Here's a question for you. Can owners of recreational vehicles looking for a lot to rent be victims of fair housing violations? Do fair housing laws apply? Check out the case study provision in your resources. All right, let's take a look at this one. Let's see. On September 30th, 2015, a complaint was filed with the U.S. Department of Justice alleging that Carl Buckler, the manager of Southwind Village RV Park, discriminated against African Americans. The complaint originated with the U.S. Department of Justice as part of its fair housing testing program. This program sends designates to pose as potential renters or buyers to test whether fair housing practices are being followed correctly. The fair housing testers, who were African American individuals, attempted to rent recreational vehicle lots from Southwind Village. Mr. Buckler told the potential renters that there was a waiting list or that there were no lots available, neither of which was true, and discouraged the potential renters from further inquiries with Southwind Village. What do you think was the verdict of this case? Was Southwind Village RV Park guilty or not guilty of violating federal? I'm going to say they were guilty. Yes. Take a look at your resource to see what the U.S. Department of Justice had to say. The Justice Department found Southwind Village and Carl Buckler to be in violation of fair housing laws protecting race and color. I don't think we need to read more than that. It was also ordered he had to pay $35,000 to victims and $25,000. So he got 50K there. Okay. I mean, we know this is bad. Build a story. Let's see if you can recall the details of the verdict. Choose the appropriate text. Southwind Village was ordered to create a blank fund of $35K as a compensation to victims of its discriminatory practices. It was also ordered to pay a civil penalty of $25K to the U.S. government. Additionally, Southwind Village was ordered to make sure African Americans are allowed to rent RV lots and to provide periodic reports as proof. Woohoo! Justice prevails. Which protected class? Which protected class was Southwind Village convicted or discriminated against? Race, color. Yeah. All right, violation or not. Based on what you have picked up from the Southwood Village RV Park case, which of the following are violations of fair housing laws and which aren't? Adam tells an Asian family he has no apartments available to rent when there are several. Adam doesn't like the smell of Asian cuisine, so he doesn't want any Asian tenants. I think that's a pretty clear violation, Adam. Rose, the manager of a predominantly African American mobile home community, directs a white couple to a community down the road where she says they'll be more comfortable. That is a violation. A white family and a Cuban family are both interested in the same rental house. The house is rented to the white family because they inquired first. That would not be a violation. All right, lesson 5 done. We're on to lesson 6. Federal fair housing laws, why comply? Because it's the right thing to do, right? Compliance with fair housing law and practicing anti-discrimination just makes good sense. But if you remember from some of the other shared case studies, the personal impact of housing discrimination can be devastating. There's more to the story than merely adhering to the letter of the law. Discrimination based on bias or prejudice in housing is never right. It's better to follow the spirit of fair housing law, to provide equal access to housing to everyone regardless of their protected class status. Reasons for practicing non-discrimination in your real estate educating educating clients and others on fair housing law, and standing up for fair housing rights when you see discrimination include: it's never acceptable to discriminate or to allow discrimination in any form. It makes our communities and our country stronger. Our reputation's involved. Your industry's reputation is involved. You can help minimize your clients' risk by educating them about fair housing law. Fair housing affects your community. Fair housing impacts society as a whole. It has a ranging socioeconomic impact beyond limiting one individual's choice of where to live. Penalties for noncompliance with fair housing laws can be severe. We see that. You have to be a really successful real estate person to be able to handle all those fines. And if you're discriminating, you're probably not going to be successful. Why is it important to comply with fair housing requirements? It's important to comply with fair housing laws because your personal reputation and the reputation of your industry are involved. Educating your clients about fair housing laws helps minimize their risks as well. Fair housing affects your community and impacts society as a whole because the socioeconomic significance goes beyond limiting a person's individual choice of where to live. Oh, and of course, the penalties for violating fair housing laws can be severe. All right. That was lesson 6. I believe we're going on to our last. Believe it or not, this might be the shortest one, even though it's got the most lessons. Although I didn't read every single one, I'm going to be honest, because it is quite repetitious. Oh, that's it. We're going to print out this. Did you print out the study sheet, Paul? The Michigan and Federal Fair Housing Study Sheet. Is that what you printed? Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Well, I won't print it then. All right. Uh-oh. Yeah, okay. Unit exam. Let's take the unit exam. 8 questions. We need 70% to pass. Of course, we've already passed. This is just a study. Are mobile home parks subject to fair housing laws? Yes. Under Article 10 of the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics, equal professional service should be given to all clients and customers irrespective of race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin. We're going to say familial status. I don't think it's, no, that's it. Blank and familial status are protected classes. Veteran, no. Student, no. Religion. Which of the following would make the Choose Your Neighborhood flyer an allowable strategy for finding prospective buyers? It's got to be this one. As part of a comprehensive marketing strategy that doesn't limit or restrict potential buyers. What are the 7 federally protected classes? Ooh. Okay, we can knock this one out because veteran status is not one of them. Age is not one of them. And age is, so it's race, color, religion, disability, sex, familial status, and national origin. How would you respond if your seller makes the following statement? We've lived here for 10 years and love our neighbors. We're really concerned about the changes happening to the blocks around us, so we want to be careful about who we sell our home to. You know what we mean. You'll help us find the right kind of buyer, won't you? I can't technically do that, but I could choose to no, no. I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm obligated to obey the requests of my clients, but I'm going to need to write no. It would be illegal to limit the search based on race or religion or anything like that, but I promise I'll find you the most qualified buyer I can, and we'll sell this house for the best to the highest price possible. That looks okay. Let me read the last one. Let's keep this off the record. Yeah, it's definitely that one. We don't keep things off the record. Okay. The National Blank Housing Alliance has made recommendations for promoting diverse neighborhoods. I don't remember. The National Civil Rights Housing Alliance? It's not diverse. It's not National Minority Housing. National Fair Housing? Oh, sugar. I don't remember now. Paul, are you within a ear? Come here. He's already done. How did you finish this faster than I did? You didn't read nothing, did you?
No, I did. I just didn't read all those long ass things. I just skimmed them.
The National Blank Housing Alliance has made recommendations for promoting diverse neighborhoods. Is it the National Civil Rights Housing Alliance?
Yes.
That's it? Okay. Or the National Fair Housing?
No, I think it's
Civil Rights?
uh, National Fair Housing Alliance. Civil
Fair
Rights
Housing
Housing
Workshop.
Alliance. I think it's fair.
Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Which of the following strategies would help to make a choose your neighborhood marketing letter non-discriminatory? Listing the property on the MLS.
Yeah.
100%. Woo! We did it. We did it. All right. So we finished Unit 4 of Section 7. That took us 38 minutes. Let's see, how long did the whole thing take here? We did 48 minutes, so 1 hour and, oh boy, 2 hours and 15, 3 hours and 15, and then another 45, let's say. So 4 hours. Yep, 4 hours to go through all of Section 7. That was a lot. That was a lot, but that's what studying's all about. Unfortunately, we still have sections 8 through 17. We don't really have to do these. These are some practice exams, which we'll probably do again. Like I said, we've already done the final exam and passed, so yay. Yeah, see, I've completed the course. But thank you for watching, viewing, if you've watched this. I know a lot of this information has been redundant, but that's kind of the point. Tomorrow I'll be going through Section 8, Property Valuation in Michigan. So that'll go through value, methods of estimating value, the appraisal process, and comparative market analysis. Let's take a little peek into Unit 1 here. But I've enjoyed doing this. I hope you have enjoyed um, There's Unit 1 that has 4 lessons. I'm just kind of, and each lesson has so many different too. So let's see, Unit 2 has, just get some kind of, if you enjoyed this, if you please like the video, follow, um, give me a comment, and yeah, I wish I could specifically schedule when I'm going to do these things, but it's just kind of based on when I can. So this looks about as probably going to take us a good 3 to 4 hours as well. Each lesson usually takes about an hour. Again, I've already gone through this stuff, so it'll be I'll be skimming through it. So you see 3 here, 6 here. So yeah. So hopefully look out for Section 8 property valuation in Michigan. This is probably going to be similar to many other states. So if you're just curious about property valuation in your state, but again, it may vary from state to state. So again, thank you for watching and or listening or whatever you are doing.